Picking a new monitor is an incredibly personal ritual and takes hours of sleepless nights, agonizing thoughts and indecision trying to decide which one to get. And there's so many different factors to consider. Do you want an ultra wide? Do you want a flat screen, a curved screen, 4K, 1440p, a fast refresh rate, or do you want great color accuracy? What sort of ports do you want? There's so many things to consider that trying to find the right monitor just takes forever. And many of us dream of finding that endgame monitor. A monitor which is so perfect for you and has all the right specs that you want, that it is future-proof and going to last you for a number of years. But there's so many different monitors out there that have such a wide variety of specs that not all of them hit the mark on everything we're looking for. We always end up compromising something, and that's why we always end up upgrading it every couple of years. And don't get me wrong, these things are not cheap. They cost you a fortune. So this is why trying to find your endgame monitor is so important. So in this video, I'm going to give you the top 5 monitors I think are the perfect endgame monitor that's going to last you for years and have all the perfect specs that you want in a monitor.
How could you do that? It was an incredibly personal ritual, but you have taken away weeks of agonizing thought, tedious research, sleepless nights filled with indecision. Haven't I lost enough today?
Now I've picked 5 monitors that I think are absolutely incredible and have the perfect specs to be your endgame monitor that's going to last you for years and have everything that you want. Now this should cater for a variety of people and have something for everyone. So strap in and let's go.
We're in the endgame now.
First up, we've got the Alienware AW3225QF. This was a monitor that was released at CES 2024 and it is a 32-inch curved qd-oled 4K monitor. This has a 240Hz refresh rate with a 0.03 millisecond response time. It features Samsung's 3rd generation qd-oled technology and has a glossy screen with a anti-reflection coating. Now that doesn't mean that it's a matte screen, it just means that it has an anti-reflection coating. Now is it as good as a complete OLED panel without the anti-reflection coating? I'm going to leave that up to you to decide. But this thing has beautiful 4K display, 240Hz refresh rate, ultra thin bezels, 0.03 millisecond response time, incredible color accuracy, up to 1000 nits of peak brightness, and HDR 1000. It also has HDMI 2.1, which should take advantage of those high refresh rates. Now a lot of people are getting the ump with the DisplayPort, which is limited to 1.4. But there's very few monitors on the market right now that have DisplayPort 2.1. Now this is still future-proof because as long as you have a graphics card like RTX 4090 that can handle the power of the fast refresh rate, then plug in HDMI 2.1 into that should be able to work. Now it has a very subtle 1700R curve, so if you like a little bit of a curve but not too much, this is going to be perfect for you. I think 32 inches are just about the right size for a monitor, and this looks absolutely incredible. Now this comes in at $1,199 at the time of this video, so it is a little bit expensive but not as expensive as what I thought it would be. Now if you like the look of this monitor but don't like the price tag or the curve, then you can opt for MSI's monitor. This is a 32-inch QD-OLED display, pretty much the same as the Alienware one, and it has a 240Hz refresh rate, 0.03 millisecond response time, a peak brightness of 1000 nits, and this comes in at $949, which is significantly cheaper than the Alienware one. It also has a flat panel, so if you don't want the curve, you can opt for the flat version of it, and it still has the same ports. It has a DisplayPort 1.4 and HDMI 2.1 to take advantage of that fast refresh rate. Kicking it up a gear, and this is probably going to be an endgame monitor for a lot of people, is the ROG's new lineup of monitors for 2024. Now, they've got a 32-inch monitor, which is a dual mode monitor. Now, this is featuring LG's 3rd generation OLED panel. So whereas the Alienware one is featuring Samsung's QD-OLED, the ROG is featuring LG's 3rd generation OLED displays. So it's not got the anti-reflection coating, and it just looks absolutely incredible. Now, this can either be 4K at 240Hz, or you can have it in full HD mode at 480Hz. So if you're a competitive gamer and you want to use this monitor for hardcore competitive gaming, you can switch it to full HD and do gaming at 480Hz. And if you want to make content, watch content, or just play some games casually, you can have it up to 240Hz in 4K crisp OLEDness. This has a 0.03 millisecond response time, 1300 nits of peak brightness, and it features Dolby Vision, and it has DisplayPort 1.4 and HDMI 2.1. So you can use the HDMI port again to take advantage of those full speeds, provided you have a graphics card that can handle it. Now, if 32 inches isn't necessarily the size for you, then you can consider one of their other options. They have a 1440 version, which is a 27-inch panel, or they have a 39-inch ultra wide with a curve to it, and that is a 1440 panel as well. There's no price tag for this at the time of making this video, but I would anticipate that it will sit somewhere in the middle of where Alienware's price tag is. If you're enjoying this video so far and you want to know the best tech that you can get for your home studio so you can be an epic creator, the best way you can support the channel is by clicking that subscribe button down below, and don't forget to have the notifications enabled. Thank you. Now, next up is not a monitor as such, but something that everybody is using these days to use instead of a monitor, and that is LG's new lineup of OLED TVs. And I'm talking specifically about the C4 42-inch OLED TV. Now, this is featuring LG's OLED technology panel with the new A9 Gen 7 processor that increases the brightness and sharpens up the color. It's increased up to 144 Hz refresh rate over 120 Hz over the last few years. It has 4 HDMI 2.1 ports and has extra features such as HDR10 and Dolby Vision. Now, this is a nice 42-inch TV that can sit on your desk and be a monitor for things like content creation, video editing, just watching content in general, playing games with 144 Hz refresh rate. This is going to feature those inky blacks and super awesome, super accurate color accuracy for pretty much anything you need. And it's going to be cheaper than getting a monitor. If you was to buy a monitor for the similar specs and a fairly big size, it's going to cost you more than buying something like this. So that is why I've included the LG C4 into this lineup, because it has that incredible color accuracy, the brilliant OLED technology, the Gen 7 processor, and 144 Hz refresh rate. And finally, for your ultimate endgame monitor, and if you want something that has DisplayPort 2.1, then look no further than the 57-inch Samsung Odyssey Neo G9. Now, this is a 4K VA panel with a quantum dot mini LED display. It has a 240 Hz refresh rate with a 1 millisecond response time, HDR 1000, FreeSync Premium Pro, and fast action with the all-new DisplayPort 2.1. Now, this is a VA panel and it does have a 1000 R curve, which might be too much for some people, but if you look at it as well as the price tag is about $1,800. Now, while that might be an eye-watering price tag, if you look at the size of the screen, this is essentially 3 screens in one. So if you want an ultra clean setup and you would normally have multiple screens, then rather than getting multiple screens, you can just buy one, and this will be able to handle everything you want. You can have 3 screens separated, or you can do it however you want. But this is a beautiful 4K display with a DisplayPort 2.1. It's essentially like having 2 32-inch panels stacked right next to each other. So if that's something you want, then I would consider getting this instead. And this will last you a very long time. Now, all of these are potentially endgame monitors for a lot of people. And for me personally, I would pick between the Alienware 32-inch or the ROG 32-inch. Now, the only thing that I have issues with over these monitors is that I want one that has LG's level of TV OLED technology. So like their increased brightness that gives you up to 2000 nits. I want DisplayPort 2.1, and I still want that 4K 240 Hz refresh rate display. So we're almost there. We're very, very close, but there's very few monitors that have DisplayPort 2.1 right now. So I am looking to get either the Alienware or the ROG. But for any of these monitors, these could be your end game. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want to know more about any of these monitors, then watch this video up here next.